Good morning, everybody. And good morning to those who are watching around the country and around the world today online. We love you. We're glad you're part of Crossroads. Speaking of the other side of the world, we're going to be, Linda's going to be leading us in a prayer for the people of our brothers and sisters in Ukraine after the service. But I want to give a heads up for something that we saw that's coming next week, and that is we're going to be doing a series on Don't Give Up. And there's so many things coming against us that have been, especially in the last couple years. And every one of us probably at time in our life, we feel like giving up. So this is going to be an incredibly encouraging, challenging message. But somebody that needs to hear this message too. Not only do each of us need to hear this, but a friend, a coworker, somebody going through something that you can invite, and it can make a difference in their life. It can make a difference in their eternity. It can make a difference on literally life and death for them. You may know some people around the country that need to hear this. So do some invitation and things. It can make a real difference. There's also somebody once said that the only really the constant in life is change, and I think there's some real truth to that. We go through seasons, don't we? I mean, we go through literal seasons. We're in the middle of winter, and we're going to be going into spring soon, and then after that we're going to be going into summer, and after summer we're going to be going into fall, and after that we're going to be going into winter again, and we do that over and over. But within that also there are seasons within seasons, aren't there? I mean, like today, it's going to be rainy today. It may be sunny tomorrow. It may be cloudy. It may be foggy. It may be snowy. It may be everything. There's the seasons within seasons. And the same thing in our life. There are seasons of life, aren't there? There are physical seasons of life where first we're a baby, and then we're a toddler, and then we're a child, and then we're an adolescent, and then we're a young adult, then we're an adult, and then an older adult, then a senior citizen. Within that, we're in elementary school and middle school and high school and college, and within that we start a career, and we do a career, and we may be a stay-at-home mom or whatever, and we do different things, and then we retire. We do all those different things. And you think about it, that people come into our life and go, don't they? I mean, sometimes because we move, or they move. An average person moves 12 times during their lifetime, and so sometimes we lose friends in that ways, or gain some new friends in that ways. There's also the times where we have different jobs. The average person has 12 different jobs in their lifetime as well. There's people that come in. We just have different interests from time to time and move in and out, or different life stages and move in and out in friendship. Sometimes it's because they pass away. Sometimes it's because there's a breakup. Sometimes because they're a divorce. But we have different seasons within people. And also even our pets come and go, don't they? Come in and out of our life for a season in that. But you think about that, within every season there is change and there's transition. And really right now in the last few years, there's been more change than probably any time since World War II in our country and in our world. And so how are we going to navigate that change? How are we going to go through those transitions as a church, as a family, as individuals? How are we going to do that? Because how you navigate transition in your life can make you or break you. It really can. How you handle transitions can make you or break you, and whether you enjoy life or not. I mean, because you can be miserable in those transitions, or you can be wonderful in those transitions. So, and I thought about that is the first time I ever did a triathlon, that I never practiced the transitions. I would train swimming, or I would train running, or I would train biking, but never did I switch those up, because I'm transitioning from one to the other. So when I got done with the biking part, my body and my brain had a fight, because my body said, we're done. And my mind said, no, we're not done. And my body said, yes, we are. And my mind said, no, we don't. We had a fight is what we did. And so from then on, what I would do is, and it was miserable that first time. My body just was like not ready for the transition. And from then on, like when I would ride a bike, right after I was soon done, I would run around for a little while to get used to that transition and things. And how we manage those transitions can make a huge difference in our life. And as we go through transitions, think about that. It causes anxiety in our life, doesn't it? It causes where we're insecurity in our life. A lot of times it can cause fear as we go into a different stage in life. And there's that instability. And you think about a crab. A crab is, in order for it to grow, it has to change. In order to grow, there has to be some instability. It has to go from one shell to another. And it is incredibly vulnerable in that. But it's also an incredible opportunity for the crab. It cannot grow unless it takes that vulnerable step of transition. And the same thing, too, is if you ever thought about walking, it's really about transition, isn't it? It's about putting our weight from one to putting our weight to the other to putting our weight. And last night I was with a small child that was just beginning to learn to walk. And I remember he stands up and then he was like this terrified thing of, I don't want to take this because I think I'll fall. And he just sat there and cried for a little while before he started to take some steps. And that's how we feel sometimes when we're going to a new season or that transition, that time of instability. Well, a few weeks ago, our family pastor and part-time supermodel, Mitchener, she gave an amazing message to our staff about managing transitions, and she really was brutally honest with some transitions that she was going through in her life. And this was so good that we said that we can't just keep this to ourselves. We have to do this, share this with everybody. And if we could just welcome right now, not only, and I want you to hear this, not only Marianne as our family pastor, but she's an incredible mother in the faith. She really is, and there's not a whole lot of mothers or true mothers or fathers in the faith anymore. And I pray that God raises up more and more in our congregation as that. But we are blessed to have her today. And if we can give her a hand.
Well, thank you. I'm going to be sharing this story about a huge transition that I have been going through, am still going through. Some of you know that I was very, very close to my mom and lost her December the 6th. And it's, been a 5-year journey, and God has taught me so much. It's just my joy to share it with you. But before I start, I just want to say, like Pastor Lowell said, seasons are inevitable. We are going to go through them. Loss of any kind, many kinds, is inevitable. But the Bible says we're on a pilgrimage, and we go from strength to strength until we appear before God in Zion. So the season is not to upset you, to bog you down, to confuse you, to what be a negative thing. Each season is the opportunity for you to grow and become stronger and stronger in the Lord. Be more and more prepared for your destiny, your purpose. And don't we all want to say at the end of our lives, don't we want to hear the Lord say, well done, good and faithful servant. Amen. You fought the good fight. You kept the faith. You finished the race. And I have the great joy of sharing with you, and I may choke up a little bit at times like I did for service, but the great joy of going through a season that at first was very difficult, but it turned into something very beautiful. And that was the season of giving my mother to the Lord. And I just had such an honor of coming alongside of her and helping her get ready for heaven. And she taught me how to keep going after she was gone. And so it's just an amazing thing. And the reason why this is such a significant loss for me, and I don't even want to call it loss anymore, a change, is because Mom and I were extremely close. I had lived in Boston for 30 years, a little background. The Lord brought me back here to take this job, major transition after being up there for so long. And when I got here, I had no intention of moving in with my mom and my stepfather, but my stepfather got severe dementia. And I had to, a number of us family members had to get him out of the house and get some help. So Mom was exhausted, and she was by herself. She'd never lived alone. So I stayed with her for a while, and it ended up that we just worked out a beautiful relationship where we just loved living together. We have so much that our interests are so similar. We love the beach. We love water. We love to be spontaneous. We love to go do things. We love people. We love having people over, hospitality. And so it was just a smooth, it took us a while to adjust to each other, two strong women, but it became such a beautiful time. And I said, Mom, you're my best friend, my favorite companion. This is the happiest time of my life. And I love living with you. And so we celebrated life together, and life was beautiful. And I want to pause here and say there's a temptation when you're in a sweet season like we were in. I remember even going, Lord, I like my job. I love my home. Let's not change anything. And you tend to want to cling to those periods of life that are like that. Well, 5 years ago, we got a diagnosis that Mom had stenosis of the heart, her heart artery, her valve, and she had congestive heart failure. And at any time with stenosis, it can stop working and you can die instantly. So we were living with this tension. We were waiting for valve replacement surgery. We knew she may or may not be eligible depending on all these tests. And we knew she may or may not live through it because her valve was so small. Her artery was so small. And during that time, one day I woke up and I went, what's wrong with my body? And I'd broken out in hives. And I said, boy, you are really stressed about this, Marianne. And I said, you know what, Lord, this is not good. I need to get to the place, because she is going to die eventually, where I can release her to you and not be so distraught. So the Lord led me on a journey of trusting Him, of letting go of control, of celebrating the season we were in, but not holding on to it. And there were so many lessons that God taught me along the way. He taught me how to be grateful for every single day and every single moment and just give it all I could. And so, doing fun things with Mom as long as she could get around, making sure she had all her favorite foods and drinks and she was healthy. And actually, I went from friend to caregiver, which was another transition because I'm not a medical person. But I prayed, and there's so many verses that were so helpful to me, and I created a card that you can pick up at the front or at the doors when you leave. I'll be referring to some of these, but the Lord promises to give us wisdom. So when I didn't know what to do for her, I was like, God, give me wisdom. And there are times when I went against medical advice because the Lord led me to do something different, and it was the right thing for her. So I learned to rely on the Lord, to seek Him wholeheartedly. And I said, Lord, I don't want to cling to Mom because she can become an idol. I want to learn to cling to you. And so I knew my life was crazy, managing her and her home and all her issues and my life and my ministry. But I knew I had to be in the Word every day. I knew I had to be in prayer every day. I knew I had to be continually talking to the Lord. And so there were many things along the way that God taught me and helped me through this process. There was one time where she did get the valve replacement. It was successful, but there were issues along the way, and we almost lost her a few times. And I was walking out of the hospital one night, and I said, Lord, if it's her time, help me give her up. Just help me. But if not, she's 90 years old, and is it too much to ask for a miracle for a 90-year-old? And I heard in my spirit, not audibly, the Lord say, did I not do a miracle for Sarah? and she was 90. And I knew the Lord was saying to me, this is not her time. Another time we almost lost her, and I kept saying to everybody, it's not her time. This is not her time, because I knew the Lord would tell me when that moment came. So one day a friend of mine called me up, and she said, Marianne, my son our dog died suddenly this week. And my son, it was his best friend, and he's just distraught over this. He's been in his room, he's been depressed. Would you come over and speak to him? I'd never met him before. In the car, I'm going, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to say to this young man of 19 who just lost his dog? And I walk in the door, he's in the living room, and I said, you got to speak through me, Lord. And I'm not kidding you, the words were anointed. I knew they were. And the Lord had me say to him, I let him talk for a while, and he said, I just feel like I got ripped off. I got cheated because my dog died so suddenly. And I said, no, you did not get cheated. God, the time for Cordy to be in your life was perfect. You did not need him a day longer or a day earlier. It was just right. And that was a season where you needed that dog. He goes, well, he just helped me so much through so many hard times. And I thought he would be here to help me when my grandparents died. And I said, that's because he was there to help you along, but you don't need him anymore. And you're stronger than you think you are, and you're going to be okay when your parents go to heaven. So I just kept saying things to him. He received it. I said, now you need to enter into this new season without your dog because you're ready. My friend said he got up and he power washed the driveway and said, let's have a big meal for supper. And he hadn't really been eating for several days. As I was driving away, I said, wow, Lord, you really showed up. And the Lord said, remember the words that you said to him because they apply to you. What he was saying to me and maybe to you is the amount of time you have with this loved one or this job you love or this place where you love to live, you will have it as long as you need it. But trust me, when that season is over, it's because you need to go to a new season, and don't hold on to it. And the Bible says, I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. Along unfamiliar paths I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. So we need to trust that God knows what we need and when we need it, and he will help us with that transition. So as time was going on, we were getting closer and closer, and we just, let me just say, we celebrated all that we could celebrate. We gave thanks for everything we could give thanks for. We had a gratitude jar that we filled out cards and put it in. We read scripture in the morning. We prayed at night together with my sister. We had communion as often as we could. I said Psalm 103, I think about 1,000 times, her favorite psalm, so I have it by memory. But it was just a sweet time that we could have together. And we just tried to make her life as fulfilling and happy as we could, and just get everything out of it we could. And I just continued to ask God to help me and get me ready. And we saw the goodness of God. The Bible says, Psalm 23, surely goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life. And God's goodness and faithfulness was there, even through COVID. All the things we needed, God provided. All the questions I had, God answered. And so it ended up being a very sweet time. And as we got closer, it was in November of last year that the Lord said to me, transition. I knew what that meant. So many times I had heard, it's not her time. This was different. I don't know why I get choked up, because really I'm okay with it. But you know, sharing your heart in front of so many people is not always easy to be so vulnerable. But I heard transition. I wouldn't write it down for 2 days because I knew God was saying, we are getting close. But can I pause and say, how sweet of the Lord to give me a warning. So I went into this whole thing of, what am I going to do without her? Who's going to be happy when I get home from church? And who's going to greet me Wednesday night after I've taught Bible study? And who's going to laugh with me? And who's going to think I'm wonderful? And who's going to love me unconditionally? And this is what the Lord, I wrote pages in my journal. I would encourage you, when you're going through transition, journal, because you can look back and learn from it. And this is one of the things he said. A new day is dawning. Embrace it with trust and even joy. I am doing a new thing. Don't cling to the past. Celebrate the mutual love you've had. Share with others. You're going to be fine. I have more for you to do. You have different needs now, and I will meet every one of them. You are blessed, my daughter. You are loved with a pure love. So I said, okay, Lord, help me here. Am I supposed to be with her when she dies, or am I supposed to be alone? You know how we want to know everything and be in control. And the Lord said, let me handle that. Well, the last night before she died, a neighbor came over and we sang all our favorite songs. We read our favorite scriptures. I told her about heaven. I read scriptures about heaven. And it was really sweet. And I was there when she took her last breath. I didn't cry. I'm crying more now than I did then. I did not cry. I sat there and I said, you did it, Mom. We did it. You fought the good fight. You kept the faith. You finished the race. Now is the crown of righteousness that the Lord has prepared for you. And I was so happy for her. I said, you're out of that body that didn't work anymore. You were so ready to see Jesus. A month before she died, I came down for breakfast and she said, she was like this, smiling. She had such a beautiful smile. I said, Mom, what's going on? She goes, I was just with Jesus. And my sister said, Mom, what did he say? She goes, he said, welcome. And I remembered that, and that was so tender of the Lord. And I sat there and I went, okay, Marianne, I knew this day was coming. I knew we would go from caregivers in and out of the house and nurses and hospice people, and it never bothered me because I enjoyed them all. Mom enjoyed them all. She always got involved in all the nurses' lives and was always telling me we need to pray for this person. And, she was always engaged, And I knew when she was gone, everything would stop. And it would just be me. Well, how do you transition? And there were times when I dreaded it, because sometimes we dread things coming to a close. And the Lord said, but Marianne, remember when you were young and it was Christmas vacation and you didn't want to go back to school and you dreaded going back to school? And if you do that, then you can't fully enjoy the present. So there's nothing to dread. And when you're ready, you'll be ready when it's time. And so the Lord taught me, don't dread the future because you don't know what it's going to be like till you're there. Don't regret the past. Just give it everything you've got. So in a day, everything stopped. They came and got the equipment, and the whole living room was different, which is where her bed was. And I said, this is a good day. I am in a new season. And because I felt like the Lord taught me to embrace and get every bit of growth everything I could glean and learn before she died, that I could handle this new season, and not only handle it, but embrace it. You see, Mom had taught me so much. The Lord had told me during this journey, this is a beautiful journey. When we're in a hard season, we see the earthly things that are hard. But the Lord wants us to sit with him and see through spiritual eyes what he's doing, because he's growing us, he's changing us, he's preparing us for the next season, for the next part of our journey, so we can keep moving forward from strength to strength until we appear before God. And I realized that night when she died that we'd been running a race together, and I was her coach, and she was my teacher. What did Mom teach me? To be grateful every day. That when you have nothing, my mother was a servant. She loved to serve people and, make meals for people, do things for people. When she couldn't do anymore, she couldn't walk anymore, she taught me how to love people when you have nothing left to give. And I want to talk to all of you who are caregivers, or you know anybody, or you're going through a hard time physically. When you have nothing left to give, you can always give the love of God. One of her friends came by, and when she left, she goes, Rachel is one of my favorite people in the whole world, because Mom was other-oriented. How are you doing, Rachel? I'm doing great. How are you? How can I pray for you? This is her prayer book. Some of you are in it. Somebody came up to me last service and said, my son's doing well because of your mother's prayer book. So what am I trying to say? Learn everything you can out of every season, good or bad. Squeeze it like an orange and get every drop of knowledge, understanding, love, whatever it is. And let it go. And be willing to move on in your pilgrimage. So what's today like for me? I have more free time. I'm able to spend more time with people in ministry, praying with people, teaching when they need me with the young adults. I love it all. A friend of mine said, I want you to come and help me do mission work in Florida. I said, I can go now. And some days there's a temptation to nobody's home, loneliness. Well, that's from the enemy. And I say, no, I'm not alone. Mom loved me beautifully, but God loved me with a pure love. And I get to carry the love of my mom with me because I had it as long as I needed it. But now I have the pure love of God, which will never leave me. And I celebrate that all the time. I feel like my capacity to love people has increased because of that season. My ability to trust God has gone up so high because he was so faithful. And I'm loving this season, and I'm fine. And I just thank God every day. So I just say, embrace the new season. What is God showing you? What are things you can do that you couldn't do before? I never resented a minute of not being able to travel and go out to dinner and do things with people, because it was worth it to me to be in the present with my mom. But now it's a good season, because now I can do things I could not do before. What is God doing in your present season? What's he showing you? How is he proving he loves you, that he's faithful? As we sung, he's perfect in all his ways, that his goodness and mercy follows us all the days of our lives. What is there for you to learn in this season? Squeeze every last drop of knowledge, growth, understanding, and move on. I was reading last week where God said to Samuel, Stop mourning. We all have periods of mourning when we lose someone or something. But he said, stop mourning. Fill up your horn. In other words, let the love of God fill you up and move on to your next assignment. So let's not live in the past of regret. I have none. Let's not dread the future because God's taking care of it. And we can't imagine it anyway. It's never what we think it's going to be like. Never in a million years did I think 12 weeks later I would be up here with joy. There's a book that C.S. Lewis wrote years ago that said it was surprised by joy. I am surprised at the tremendous joy I feel. And I'll close with this. My mom lost her best friend. She was 95 and she was in a tragic car accident. And we thought, at 95 you're supposed to die of old age and not a car accident. And one day I was downstairs, it was a long, dear sister friend. And I said, Mom, you're really upset about Miss Brandon. And she went, Marianne, I'm just so thankful that I knew her for so long. No bitterness, no regret. And I want to live that way. Let's be grateful for everything. Give thanks in all circumstances. God loves you. He has a plan for you. He does not make mistakes. Everything that's happening, good or bad, is God can weave it all into his purposes. I put together this card. It has verses on the front and the back. It's just things like, no good thing does God withhold. He fulfills the desires of those who seek him. He satisfies my desires with good things. He will keep in perfect peace whose mind is steadfast because he trusts in you. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. And finally, let's end well. I have fought the good fight. I've kept the faith. I have finished the race.